Coming to you from inside the suites at Globe Life Field, two Rangers broadcasters who come on your TVs every day of the season to talk about the Rangers. Now they're putting down their broadcast mics to pick up the podcast ones because they are still talking Rangers.
Hey everyone, welcome into the first episode of Still Talking Rangers, along with the television voice of the Texas Rangers, Dave Raymond, Jared Sandler, happy to be with you. And thanks to our friends at Whataburger for bringing you this podcast back for another year. And we're told that we talk about the Rangers a lot, and now we are still talking about the Rangers. So, hence the name, Still Talking Rangers.
Yeah, take a hint.
Yeah.
Well, what should we name the podcast? Well, get all the legal hits. How about Still Talking Rangers, these two? So be it. Let's still talk Rangers. We can talk whatever we want to talk about.
Yeah.
But yeah.
To check with Lee, or we.
I think we're good. I think we're good.
Good.
This is uncopyrighted. Or wait a minute, maybe this is copyrighted. I don't know. Who knows? It's a podcast. Yeah. So anyway, it'll be fun. We'll talk about whatever the heck we want to talk about on a intermittent basis. I'm not even sure how scheduled it'll be, but
we wanted to wait for the Rangers to be tied for the best record in the American League before we recorded our first episode. We are here at Globe Life Field, where as of this conversation, the Rangers have not lost since opening day. This has been a haven for the Rangers of just winning baseball, and we're going to make sure that we only record podcasts when the Rangers are tied for the best record. They can't have the exclusive best record.
Just when they're tied.
Just when they're tied.
Yeah.
So.
Which, by the way, I mean, just jump right off of that. We came home from that road trip, and it was a rough road trip. Chicago dropped 2 out of 3, got swept in Seattle. I turn on the radio Monday morning, right? We get the day off. Turn on the radio, and the first thing I hear is, are we concerned about these bats? And then I flip the dial a little bit later. First thing I hear, should fans be concerned about these Rangers bats? What's going on with this team? And look, it felt bad when we were out there, right? So I kind of scrambled. I was like, well, look at the standings real quick. And I'm not being a jerk here. I really am. I was like, it was bad, but where are we in this? Oh, we have the most wins in the league. Oh, what? I mean, I get it. Like I've had to temper this every night. They haven't clicked. And no one's going to try and feed you some story that, oh, yeah, no, this lineup is great. It's really going gangbusters. It's not. But they're tied for the best record in the league. They continue to find ways to win. I asked Marcus Semien the other day, I said, hey, can we talk about the lineup? And I was like, you know, what do you think? Why does this sort of thing happen? And he's, you know, I really appreciated this. He's like, I don't want to talk about that. I said, really? He's like, I don't see the point. We're winning. I loved it. And so we went back and forth about it for a little while. He's like, what's the point in concerning ourselves with that? Like, it's not working right now, right? But it will. I'll hit, Corey will hit, Jock will hit. Diagnosing exactly why it's not working right now. He's like, why? We're winning. And I think he's right.
We're kind of, I mean, if the NFL expands to 18 games, we would be the equivalent of one game into the NFL season. Right? I mean, we're 18 games into a 162 game season. We're almost, I guess, really, you know, a game and a half. And are you going to overreact or write the final chapter on an NFL team a game and a half in? No. You know, in the NBA, we're 8 to 10 games into the season. Right? Any team 8 to 10. So, and I thought you were going to say that you turned on the radio and they're already talking about like who the Cowboys are going to draft in the 6th round.
Oh, wow.
But it is cool, and I try not to forget that stretch from 2017 through 2022 when you couldn't get anyone to talk about the Rangers on the radio, right? And so it's
and when
cool
they were really struggling.
Yeah. And it's cool that, you know, you have people who are interested, and it does need to get better. Yeah. But I years ago, someone said over 162 games season, I can't remember who it was, half the games, give or take, you're going to be about who you are. Like, your performance on the field is going to be a good reflection of who you are. And then for the other half, it's going to be split between you are on a roll and playing great baseball. And the other half, you're really fighting it. And the best teams are the ones that in that 40 or so game stretch, when you're fighting it, you can maximize wins or minimize damage. And when you are really rolling, you don't give games away.
Yeah.
And then the other 80 games are going to kind of be a fair reflection of who you are. And so I don't think this is a fair reflection of who the Rangers are, yet they're 11-7.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, that's you got to find ways to win sometimes.
Well, and here's the other thing that happens season after season, right? You have a team that the pitching struggles. It just hit a bump. And unfortunately, at that same time, the offense disappears as well. And you're like, oh man, if only the offense could just pick us up a little bit today. Or whatever, the bullpen falters and it spoils good pitching, good starting pitching. It happens all the time. That is way more common than what we're seeing here, which is the Rangers offense has really struggled. It was going to be the foundation of what was expected to be a good run this year. And it hasn't shown up. But they found other ways to win. And sometimes offensively, right? Sometimes it's a matter of a Wyatt Langford solo home run in Cincinnati to win a game 1-0. Or it's Tavares laying down a bunt, stealing second, moving to third on an error, scoring on a sacrifice fly that basically went out of the park. But, like that kind of stuff is how they've won. So, yeah, I think that's the really cool part to me is that they've engineered wins out of sometimes nothing.
So, games in April, we always hear it's just a game. It's just one game. Whereas a game in September, there's a little more writing, but they count the same. We know more of what's needed, what's at stake in September. But you can lose a division in April, right?
Yeah.
And I think about where the Rangers are, and I think about the Atlanta Braves, who also have a talented lineup and they can't score. They're not winning, and they're in a tough division, and they've got plenty of time to get back in things and get going. I'm not, putting a headstone on the ground for the Braves or anything, but it's a good example of another really good team with a really talented lineup. They're not scoring, but they're not winning. Right. And so, that's what it could be for the Rangers, but it isn't.
Right. And the other thing too, I think it's worth mentioning, like offense is it's harder today. And so, yes, there are times when you're watching the game or listening to the game or looking in the box score and you're like, geez, what? That's all they did? But flip through some of the other box scores. Look at some of the other games. You're going to see teams struggling. Pitching's so good. It's so deep and varied. Everybody's got the flame throwing, righty, lefty coming out of the bullpen. Every hitter's going to have to face 3 or 4 different pitchers in the course of a night. It's really difficult to hit today. So, again, not saying that excuses your team for not scoring runs, but I'm just saying, like, it's hard. And so some days are going to be tougher than others, and that's just the fact of the matter. If it's some funny weather, they've seen a lot of really good pitching, but here they are, 11-7, with the best record in the league.
Now, one reason why the Rangers are where they are, starting pitching is a big reason. We'll get into that, but the bullpen, and that was the biggest question mark. It's funny how that works, right? That was the biggest question mark. The Rangers signed a bunch of veterans, but not to big dollar deals, guys that maybe looking for a bounce back year, guys, middle relief types.
Guys who wanted to be here.
Guys who wanted to be, yeah.
Probably less than they could get to be here.
And I was looking at I'll pull it up here on my handy phone. The Rangers in the 7th, 8th, and 9th innings, when leading by a run, 2 runs, or 3 runs. And because the offense hasn't gotten going, unfortunately, they've been in those situations a lot, right? You'd like to win a game by 10, rest of the bullpen. But in those spots, the Rangers have a sub-2 ERA, their bullpen. Their whip, which is basically base runners allowed, is top 8 in baseball. The OPS against, top 5. And they're tied in holds, which is their ability to protect a lead. And that might be over the head for some folks. That's fine. All that to say, when this team's gotten a lead to the final third of the game, they've done a great job of holding it and finishing the job.
Yeah, and it won't be like this every day all year. I do want to caution people about that, right? Bullpen's not going to be perfect. Heck, opening day, right? They took a tie game to the 9th inning and lost it. It will happen. But boy, they've been good and definitely better than expected. Now, that said, when you look at the track record of some of these guys and what they've done in the past, you say, well, they could be pretty good. If this guy has a year like this, if this guy has a year like that, they could definitely be a really good bullpen. They don't have the intimidation factor, right? There's no Aroldis Chapman coming out of our bullpen, or Ben Joyce, who's hurt now for the Angels, but they just keep getting outs. And I thought like that was the story last year with Kirby Yates. Kirby wasn't, blowing smoke out of his nose and just kind of rearing back and powering guys off the plate. All he did was get outs really quickly. So I like that. And that's what I like about Luke, for that matter, Chris Martin, Robert Garcia. They come in and they come right after hitters. There's no monkey. We're not nibbling. We're not trying to trick you. Here it is. We've got a defense behind us. Here it is. And they just keep going after guys. And before the other teams realize it, they're out of outs. It's just been super fun to watch. It's kind of old school in a lot of ways to me because it's just get outs.
So what do you say we talk to one of those guys? We
love it.
Calling the lefty?
Absolutely. Make sure he's quirky though.
Gotta be quirky. Hoby Milner has, when the Rangers acquired Hoby Milner, I think we talked about this. He is the perfect Bruce Bochy reliever. Like Boch has made a career out of being able to just master the bullpen. And Hoby Milner is a guy, you can get ground balls, you can match him up, you can throw off timing because he doesn't throw 98 miles an hour. You can use him in the 5th, you can use him in the 7th, you can use him to start an inning, you can use him in the middle of an inning to get out of a jam. He's got that type of experience, and he's used him pretty much in every single one of those ways already.
Pitch him 5 out of 7 days if you want. I mean, he'll just keep throwing and throwing and throwing because he's sidearm and doesn't put as much strain on his arm, and he just bounces back every day. He's a kind of a feel guy. It's awesome. It is. It's a wonderful weapon, especially for a guy like Boch.
All right, so let's bring him in. Our very first guest on Still Talking Rangers. Again, calling in the lefty from Pascal High School in Fort Worth. He grew up a Rangers fan. He's now pitching for the Rangers. After this, we'll chat with Hoby Milner.
Okay, Jared, Whataburger's Mushroom Swiss Burger is basically a mushroom lover's dream. 2 layers of perfectly grilled mushrooms, creamy au jus sauce, and cheese so melty it should have its own fan club. Try it before it's gone. Let's welcome in Hoby Milner, Rangers reliever, left-hander, off to a terrific start, local kid. Just, I guess, first impressions of now realizing that dream of playing at home.
It's pretty awesome. I mean, I grew up going to the old stadium. Always dreamed of playing in that stadium, but playing here with the roof's nice and not having to play out in the 110-degree heat's great. But yeah, playing at home, I've got friends and family coming to every game. It's pretty awesome, and I think I wouldn't have it any other way, honestly.
Was that ever like a dream, even as you had made your debut and you had established yourself with the Brewers? Was it ever in the back of your mind like, gosh, before I hang it up, I got one life. It would be so cool to play for my hometown team? Or did you kind of put that in the back of your head and not really think about it much?
No, I definitely always wanted to end up here at some point. I was at TMI in Arlington working out, and there was one of your directors of pro scouting. This was a couple of years ago. One of your pro scouting guys was out there, and I found out who he was, like just asking around, who's this guy over here with a Ranger shirt on? And I was like, hey, I'm Hoby Milner. I just want to introduce myself. I play for the Brewers, but like if you guys are ever looking for a left-handed reliever, and you're not sure if it's between me or another guy, like just know I'm from here, and I would love to play for the Rangers. And I told him that a couple years ago. And I see him around. He's still a pro scouting guy. He's a really young looking guy. I forget his name.
He's just like us. Like, hey, I'm Jared. If you're ever looking for a broadcaster, I'm also from the area, so you don't have to worry about flying me anywhere like that.
And no business card or anything, right? Like that's always kind of a
like a baseball card. That'd be kind of, here's my baseball card. You see my numbers from last year on the back?
Yeah. Well, that's pretty cool. Did that ever come up again, that conversation? Anybody?
I mean, I ran into him just like at spring training or something. He was just around, and I was like, oh, hey, you're the guy that I pitched myself to.
Did he remember?
TMI. Yeah, he did. He's like, hey, Hoby, yeah, he remembered that.
That's pretty cool. Yeah. That's pretty cool. Wife and kids come to the game. You've got 2 little ones, right?
Correct. Yeah, my wife and kids are at probably every home game. They'll probably be here for, I'd say, 98% of the home games. My mother-in-law will come to most of them. My mom comes to most of them. Yeah, plenty of friends and family coming.
Yeah. All right, that's awesome. What about the name Hoby? I've read about the derivation of the name, right? Baywatch, named after Hoby, the kid who was Mitch's son, right? Mitch, the David Hasselhoff character. Your dad, your mom, who was the big fan of Baywatch?
Probably my mom. Honestly, don't know. I never asked who was the fan of Baywatch. My mom was a big soap opera person, so I don't know. I don't know where she found time to watch Baywatch with all the Young and the Restless she was watching and all that. But probably my mom. Yeah.
Okay. Do you like that name?
Sorry. I hate having to spell it all the time. Like, let's just say I'm going to Whataburger and like, hey, what's the name? Well, I mean, that's probably the place I eat at most when fast food wise. But like, hey, what can I get a name for the order? Hoby. And they're like, yeah, exactly. Like, they never get it right. So I spell it. I say Hoby, Hoby. And then I come up to the thing and it says like Kobe would be my name. And then most people, they say hobby when they read it themselves. They're like hobby, even though there's only one B. It happens. It's just whatever.
You never deal with that, right? Dave, that's pretty.
Nope. David, yeah, it's easy. It's straightforward, right? Jared?
My name gets misspelled, but not mispronounced.
Yeah.
But I'll get G, I'll get like ERROD. Yeah.
Yeah, there's a Jared option with a G.
Yeah. There are a few 2 R's. But like, it never gets mispronounced. I don't know why someone would say hobby though.
Honestly, that's the most common thing. Someone who reads it says hobby.
More than Hoby.
More than Hoby, yeah. Because why would someone be named Hoby? There's nobody named Hoby. So.
Did you ever go to Hoby's?
In Palo Alto?
Yeah.
Yeah, they had a great
blueberry
like their breakfast.
Cake.
Yeah.
Ah. Fantastic.
Okay.
So that's like it immediately for me. I think of Hoby's.
Yeah, if the Athletics ever relocate to Palo Alto, you got to go to Hoby's.
Okay.
Yeah, that was our like literally every morning when we would play Stanford. That's what we do. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know if it's still a hot item there or not, but I definitely remember that. Now your dad was a ball player.
Yep.
His dad, so Brian. Mm-hmm. I don't know, is this still the case? He was the first guy ever drafted out of high school to go directly high school to the big leagues. A position player.
In the draft.
Is that still the case?
In the draft.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, as far as I know, there's no other position players that have gone straight from high school to the major leagues.
I don't think
I think there's been some pitchers.
Yeah. So were you always destined to play
baseball?
Kevin Brown? So Kevin Brown was college, Georgia Tech, but David Clyde.
Yeah, okay, David Clyde.
David Clyde was the high school local. He was like Hoby Milner before Hoby Milner, like local kid. But like it's weird because David Clyde it's kind of polarizing, right? Some people are like, gosh, the Rangers absolutely ruined him. He had so much potential, and by rushing him, it totally, put him off course. But then other people will say, maybe that's true, maybe it's not, but he helped save baseball here because he brought a crowd when the Rangers weren't really getting a crowd.
No doubt, but they did ruin him.
Oh yeah, no, I mean,
I don't know the story, so I can't answer.
Yeah, but your dad got hurt too, right? He got off to a great start.
Well,
played a couple games.
Yeah,
like
he
4
played
for
a couple
9.
games, and I don't know if it's because he got hurt he got sent down, or they were just like, okay, we're just sending you down. I don't know. I forget to ask him all these questions, or I forget the answers. But yeah, he got hurt a lot in his minor league career or his pro career. He played 4.5 seasons, and he's got tons of scars from surgeries and whatnot. So
he got into scouting, right?
Mm-hmm.
And is he still scouting, or is he?
No, he's retired.
Okay.
He went from coaching, or he went playing, coaching, scouting, coaching in high school to just teaching to retired.
When he was scouting, I think you told me you would go to games and sit with him when he was scouting. Am I making that up? Okay.
So he scouted for the Cubs for like 10 years, mid-90s to early 2000s. And that was my very impressionable age when it comes to baseball and whatnot. And he'd have a month of pro scouting, pro coverage every year during the summer probably. And we'd be out at Ranger games watching pretty much all the home games. And for that little month span. And yeah, spent a lot of games out there.
Were you just there kind of fanning out, or were you listening and picking up on things and like getting a little bit of an education while you're sitting with him?
So like he'd let me hold the radar gun and we'd do that, and he'd tell me all about, you know, things that were going on. And I remember one specific instance I remember, we were actually at a minor league game. I think we were watching the Corpus Christi Hooks. I don't know if we were in Round Rock or if we were all the way in Corpus Christi or something, but Corpus Christi was playing, and Hunter Pence was batting. And he was like, see this guy? These guys are writing him off because he runs weird. He's like, he runs weird and he swings weird and he plays weird, but he's really good. So some players have, or some of my buddies have like written him off, but like he's just one of those guys that like you got to watch. Like the results will be there. It's just not going to be pretty. Like that's just one of the things that stuck with me from when I was 10 years old, and he's doing his scouting and whatnot. But yeah, stuff like that would happen a lot.
That's so great because everything was pretty much unorthodox with him. The way he threw, and he would lead the league in assists because everybody'd run on him thinking he can't throw like that. You're kind of unorthodox though too, right? I mean, the sidearm delivery, like you're doing it, it's not a classic look as a scout watching. So tell us the story of how that came about. You used to be a starter, you became a reliever, but then the sidearm thing came along midway
So this was 2015, which was my second year in AA, my 4th season in pro ball. I'd been a starter up to this point, and I kind of fizzled out, or the org told me I'd kind of fizzled out. I kind of reached my plateau and I wasn't really going to go anywhere. Or the pitching coordinator told me that, and he was in town one day, and we're doing PFP, and I sling the ball sidearm, just like I do when I pitch, and we do pickoffs sidearm, and he said, hey, that looks really good. Like you should, like it looks more natural than when you throw over the top. Like you should try dropping down, and I've seen that work for a few guys. I've seen it like launch some guys' careers, and so he contacts the GM, asks if that'd be okay. It was Ruben Amaro at the time. He contacts Ruben Amaro, and then the next day he's like, hey, Ruben said you're all good to drop down if you want, which told me that they had no plans for me over the top.
And were you heavy over the top? What were you before?
I mean, 3/4.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, 3/4, maybe a little higher. Like I really cranked my body over like this and threw from as high as I could. So I spent a week just throwing bullpens and like a live BP, dropping down. Just trying to figure out what I was doing. And that was with a month left in the season. I finished that season, did okay, but like didn't feel comfortable yet. And I went to Puerto Rico that off season, threw for 3 months down there, like submarine, kind of all over the place, trying to figure out. Sometimes I would throw over the top and then go back down, just trying to, like I mixed in some knuckleballs here and there. Like I was just doing it all. Showed up to spring training, and pitching coordinator was like, the one that recommended I drop down, he said, I think you need to throw that knuckleball as your changeup, because it's better than your changeup. I'm like, okay. So I started doing that for 3 weeks. They were like, we just want to see you throw a bunch of knuckleballs. Just throw a bunch of knuckleballs. So I was probably throwing from about right here. Throwing knuckleballs for 3 weeks or so. And then at the end of that, I told him like, no, I think, well, recommendation by one of our pro scouts, his name is Joe Jordan. He was the farm director at the time. He said, I think you can make it without throwing knuckleballs. Like, I think you can still make it, not conventionally, but throwing sidearm, but fastball, slider, changeup, whatever. And I actually saw him in spring, talked to him a little bit. But he, I went with his advice over the pitching coach's advice.
Who's the pitching coach? Do you remember?
Rafael Chavez was the pitching coordinator, and he's the one who recommended I drop down. And all the other pitching coaches also loved the knuckleball. They're like, "Oh, this is great. You should throw it." It was pretty good. I've got some good video of it. But I said I can do that later. Like once you're labeled a knuckleballer, it's hard to go back. Like so, basically, I was like, I want to do it conventionally, and then I'll maybe end up there if I ever get to that point.
Can I ask, at this point, so you've been told your ceiling has been reached, and now they're trying the sidearm, the knuckleball thing. Are you just pitching for survival, or are you still in your head thinking, okay, this is my path to the big leagues, or is the big leagues not even a thought in your mind at that point?
The big leagues at this point is not a thought. Well, that's not true. When I go to Puerto Rico, I'm like, I'm just trying to figure out how to get better. Like, I wasn't thinking about the future or anything until I got back to spring training. I was like, okay, I had some decent numbers there, but like, they don't play out to be like a big league reliever. I didn't get any strikeouts because I was too low. Couldn't get any strikeouts, and like, I couldn't get a swing and miss on anything. I was like, something is amiss here, and I'm in Puerto Rico. It's not like the best competition of hitters, and I still can't get like a swing and miss or anything. So that's not going to put me in the back end of a bullpen in the big league. So that's when I was like, I need to figure out what I'm doing, and we started searching in spring training, and we're like, okay, we start throwing the knuckleballs, and once I said no to the knuckleball, that was about the end of spring training right there, and they're like, okay, we're going to keep you in extended, and we're going to keep you with a coach who's thrown sidearm left-handed, and he's going to kind of, you know, break down your mechanics and figure out something else. His name is Hector Barrios. He's the guy who like fixed Aroldis Chapman a couple years ago. Like, I remember seeing that video, and I was like, oh, hey, that's the guy that taught me how to throw sidearm. But basically, how we found my current mechanics, or what I've been using for the past 5, 6, 7 years, up and down. We put the ball on the ground when we're playing catch, pick it up, and I throw like I'm fielding the ball. And then I get into a set position, and I act like I field the ball and then throw. And then we put it on the rubber and just act like I'm fielding the ball and then throw. So then it became second nature for me. Like, I had been trying to repeat like Darren O'Day's mechanics, Pat Neshek's mechanics, like all these guys. And then I finally just found something that was myself. Just what I'd been doing for years, which made it easy for me to just do it, because I've been fielding balls and throwing them sidearm my whole life on the infield. And so, yeah, I just found something that was natural, and that's when I like immediately, like, I could command the fastball, and the breaking ball took a long time to kind of figure out, but the fastball and changeup, like, that was there automatically. And I got big league rule 5 after that season. So
what's the key now for you then when you're pitching from the side like that? Like, is there something for you that, like, you know, whatever, you got to be behind the ball, around the ball, you got to, I don't know, got to open up quicker? Is there, you know, certain angle that you're looking for?
I think I've done enough reps now that I just, like, once I'm in my set position, everything is automatic. Like, when I'm, let's just say I'm throwing a fastball to my glove side, inside to a righty or something like that, like, everything I do from once I start moving is just automatic at this point. Like, I'm getting everything to the glove, and it just happens to be sidearm. Like, that's just how it goes now. I'm not cranking to get over like this. It's just, yeah, I'm not thinking anything other than, you know, separate my hands and get the ball to the glove.
I love it. No thinking. All right, you guys want to play a game?
Let's play a game.
So we found in Seattle that you and Luke and a handful of the guys are into Pokémon cards now. And so I dug through my kids' rooms and I found some old Pokémon cards.
Nice excuse, right? You have older kids, you can just, my kids' rooms, not my collection.
I got the handbook,
Okay.
which, by the way, I didn't know my kids could read, but they are obviously, look at that.
Wait, what is this? The it's like the how to do
Handbook.
Yeah,
of what
so it's
exactly?
like all the guys and
Okay. And what they do.
You know, what they've got. So what I want you to do, let's draw a card. Everybody draw a card, and then let's pick somebody in the bullpen who is whatever we draw here.
Okay.
And you're really into this. You were into it growing up?
Yeah.
Okay. This is maybe the first Pokemon card I've touched by choice.
You're gonna love it.
Okay.
Maybe. I don't know what you get.
No, you're not gonna have any clue what's going on. So what do you got? Who do you have there?
This is very convenient. I got a Magmar.
Magmar.
Yeah, I don't know which camera I need to show this to, but I know there's one right there.
Yeah.
Got a Magmar, which is a fire spitter, is its kind of like descriptive term. So I'm out of our bullpen. Who throws the hardest out of our bullpen? We got a lot of guys that throw in the upper 90s.
Yeah, a lot of them are right around that. Like Martin's up there.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with. You know, I'm gonna make this Luke Jackson just because it's a fire spitter. Like, he's He's a talker. And I
Okay.
think that this is more of a Luke Jackson talker card. Yeah.
Okay. What do you got?
I've got is it Raichu or Raichu?
Right.
Little yellow fella. He does 20 damage to one of your opponent's benched Pokemon. So he's not a fire spitter. He's got a painful, he's electric.
Yeah.
Painful.
He's an electric mouse.
He's an electric mouse. Okay. Well, Luke Jackson's intro song to me is the most electric. You got a little Madonna remix, but I can't go with Luke. So who's electric?
With a painful punch.
Who
Who delivers 20 damage?
Yeah, Robert Garcia. I'm trying to think. Like Robert Garcia is a big guy. Like I feel like if he throws hard. Yeah. He's really good. But I also feel like in a scenario in which there was a punch thrown, his punch would be pretty painful. Chris Martin, obviously big guy, but he's very stoic. I don't know that I would say Chris Martin. The word electric, from a personality standpoint, he's calm.
Right.
Now, Robert Garcia is not like electric either, I don't think, but I don't know. He's, you guys tell me.
I think Robert's a good choice for that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Plus, he, lefty. So you're talking about guys coming off the bench.
Yeah.
You're gonna bring in a lefty. We bring him in. Do 20 damage against those guys on the bench.
Is it Raichu or Raichu? I need to know how to
Raichu.
pronounce my guy. Raichu. That's my guy.
My favorite.
So I would say, I think this is coughing or coughing.
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 Mm-hmm.
I choose you, and he does the smoke screen and it says suffocating gas.
You say he is back.
Well,
It's very convenient that all of these have something to do with like pitching, like gas,
Yeah.
electricity, and fire.
Fire, yeah. Is Pokemon, was it created by someone who grew up in Japan as a pitcher?
They're possible.
It's very possible. Okay.
I think it's somebody who did heavy hallucinogens. But suffocating gas. Is there anybody out there who has, who might
Suffocating gas.
you might choose a seat away
Not
from
that
them?
Not that I would. I wouldn't do
You
that
don't
to
out
somebody.
anybody?
I wouldn't do that to somebody on the air. But let's see. What could suffocating gas?
I mean,
What
Martin,
else could?
Martin, like, I think suffocating maybe, that tall body, big reach, the ball gets on you quickly, suffocate, I don't know.
That's a good way to do it.
Yeah, I can't believe none of us got Flaffy or Vulpix.
But like you could, I don't know, one of the interesting things when we saw you pitch in Seattle, bases loaded situation, you get out, 3 strikeouts with the bases loaded. It's super specific, but most of Major League Baseball, but you're not doing it with 98 miles an hour. And so you're not suffocating in your velocity, but like, I'm thinking, I've seen a few movies, they come from behind and they suffocate, they sneak up on you. He kind of sneaks up on you.
I like that.
Yeah.
All right.
So from henceforth,
you are coughing.
coughing with suffocating gas.
With suffocating gas.
Who's like the greatest Pokemon? Who's like the...
Pikachu is kind of the main character.
Yeah, no, I know Pikachu and I've heard of Charizard.
When it comes to the cards, Charizard is one of the
He's like
most sought after
Okay.
cards. But there's so many like legendary Pokemon.
Who's your favorite?
My favorite Pokemon
Yeah.
out of all of them. That's a really tough question. Somebody asked me this the other day and I completely blanked. Maybe Alakazam. Alakazam. He's a psychic. Bends spoons with his mind. That type.
That's appealing.
Yeah,
I can get into that.
not strong, but very mentally.
Like you love Star Wars?
Yeah. It's like
Yoda.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, but he's a lot bigger version of Yoda.
Got it.
Yeah.
Worst description of a left-handed pitcher. You guys get tagged all the times, right? There's the crafty lefty, the soft tossing lefty, the thumbing left-hander. What is the most insulting little adjective that
I'd say
people...
loogie.
Loogie. You don't like the... Yeah.
The lefty one-out guy, which
Yeah,
is
well,
gone now.
he
which
doesn't
are
exist.
retired. But definitely the lefty one-out guy.
You just didn't like being labeled as like, he can
one-out
only...
guy.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
It's not that you didn't like the name Loogie. You didn't like what it represented. Okay.
Lefty one out guy.
All right. Well, we're running out of time.
Okay.
Do you have a nickname from? Did Maddox give you a good nickname?
Actually, I don't think he's given me a good
That's
nickname.
bizarre.
Which is, I don't think.
I can't believe it. Who's it?
Squirtle. Maybe you're
Squirtle. Yeah,
Squirtle.
maybe Squirtle is your name.
No, he hasn't.
That's interesting.
I was just thinking about this the other day because he's got all these crazy nicknames for everybody,
Yeah.
and I don't think he has anything for me at the moment.
We got to talk to him about that.
Yeah, ask him next time because I'm curious what it is too. Because he normally when he sees me, he's like, "Hey, how you doing?" Like he just doesn't say the.
Does he say your name? Do you know that he knows? He does know your
He
name.
does know my name.
Okay.
I know
All
that.
right, that's good.
You've definitely locked him up. Like
Maybe.
you've done something very few have
Suffocating
done.
gas.
Suffocating gas.
Coffee.
Amazing. Hoby, thanks, man.
No problem.
By the way, first ever guest on the
Oh,
show.
yeah,
This is the
yeah.
maiden voyage.
Yeah,
Way to
thank
get us
you.
started, man.
Appreciate it. Thanks for
Hey,
having me.
keep up the great work too. Awesome start.
I will.
Okay, Hoby Milner.
If you love banana pudding, you've got to try Whataburger's Banana Pudding Shake. Back, but for a limited time only. Welcome back to Still Talking Rangers. Thanks to our friends at Whataburger for making this all possible. We love being out here at Globe Life Field, getting ready for a ball game, and it was great chatting with Hoby. How about that?
Yeah, we love being out here and still talking Rangers almost as much as he loves Whataburger.
Yeah,
I love that.
that's perfect.
He's got presence. That's the whole thing about Hoby, man. He knows what he's doing. That was fun. And we could have talked to him for another hour. Just an interesting cat. I love the whole Pokemon thing. That blew my mind when I got on the elevator with him in Seattle. And it was a little early. I was like, "You're not going to the yard right now, are you?" "No, I'm going to a Pokemon store." So a Pokemon store? That's a thing? He's like, "Yeah, Pokemon cards. We went yesterday. A bunch of guys went yesterday, but I'm going out today on my own." Like, man, you are committed. So,
He went before this, right? Didn't he say? We didn't talk
Oh yeah,
about
he
that.
went today. Yeah. We didn't bring that up. But yeah, he went today. I mean, he loves it. He's really into it again. He said he used to do it as a kid, right? He used to.
And it was a Game Boy. Like you could play. It was also a Game Boy game.
Well, there was that thing, the Pokemon Go, where you could chase down a geolocation.
Yeah, but even before that, I'm pretty sure there was a. It was on game. Like that's. I don't know if it started as a Game Boy, but before Pokemon game, before Pokemon Go, because I do remember that. Because weren't guys getting? Wasn't there like some like crime stuff because people would be like trying to find it and they'd get swiped or something?
Yep. I remember you, Darvish, playing it one day on the bus going to the ballpark in Kansas City. So, "Hey, what are you doing?" He's like, "I'm playing Pokemon Go." So, okay. So he's hoping to get one at the yard when we got there.
Amazing.
I was like, "I can't believe you, Darvish." And it was starting that day,
Was it Cincinnati when he hit a home run?
No, it was Kansas City.
Okay.
Yeah. I don't know how he did. I don't know if he got a Snorlax or a Charizard or what happened.
Well, I learned a few of the names. Fungus. There's a Fungus.
Yeah,
Fungus.
I love that one.
Geodude.
Geodude.
And then I got Kaichu. I already forgot who I got. Raichu.
Yeah.
Well, that was great. I hope you.
I love how you look at me like I'm a,
You are. I mean, you know these names.
Well, I know. I mean, I've been exposed to them.
Yeah.
Yeah. Also, by the way, he looked through my kids' cards afterwards when we got done recording that segment. Yeah, there's nothing in there.
Not very good.
That's garbage.
I hope the Raymond's college fund isn't based on what's in that binder.
Really disappointing.
Yeah. So, we were talking before we chatted with Hoby about how good the bullpen's been, but starting rotation's also been really good. In some ways, maybe what you'd expect from a guy like Nathan Eovaldi, had that complete game shutout, but we've also seen contributions from other guys too.
I love it. There's nothing like baseball to humble you and keep you on your toes, man, because you can't figure it out. We thought the offense was going to come out gangbusters and we just blow people out. Nope. We're worried about that bullpen, but it's been locked down and helped this team win a lot of games. Saw the rotation. You got Eovaldi, you got DeGrom. Boy, Leiter and Rocker are coming along. Well, we hope we'll get something out of Malley. And by the way, last second spring training, let's sign Patrick Corbin. I don't know, help out, maybe eat some innings, that kind of stuff. Holy smokes. Cy Young today in the American League, not even debatable. It's going to Tyler Malley. It's incredible. 4 starts. His first one was just kind of getting his feel back on the mound again. Since then, he's been untouchable. Corbin the other night against the Angels, every bit as good a start as we've seen this year. And I say that with all the respect in the world to the Maddox effort by Eovaldi in Cincinnati. that was incredible. If you get Malley and Patrick Corbin to pitch half as well as they've pitched so far for the rest of the season,
you'll be in good shape.
You're gonna run away with it, because Evaldi's going to be Evaldi, and DeGrom, again, kind of like picking up the paper or listening to the radio and hearing people's comments. Yeah, DeGrom hasn't been classic Jacob DeGrom yet. Still pretty good.
Yeah,
still pretty good.
If this is the bottom of the level of production from DeGrom, you're going to be fine. And same thing for him. I mean, he's barely pitched the last 2 years. He's still trying to figure things out, get his feet wet, get into a rhythm. But the thing I love, with Malley, being that the Rangers are in the American League, the Reds were, they're kind of irrelevant. And back when Malley was a Red, they didn't do you play every team every year.
Right.
Kind of flew under the radar. I don't think people realized how good he was, when he was healthy at a 2.5 year run. He was pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
But the thing I love about Corbin, this is a guy in his mid-30s. He was an all-star at one point. Statistically, and you go to his baseball reference page, not looking good the last few years, right?
No.
He does, you mentioned, he eats innings, he makes starts, and there's a lot of value there. But he is far from the all-star pitcher that he was in his final year with the Diamondbacks, and was really good in his first year with the Nationals. But I just think so often, and it's probably in all sports, but really in this sport, you get guys who emerge at different points, maybe at 22, maybe at 25, maybe not until 28, but you end up being a pretty darn good player. I think of J.D. Martinez, DFA'd, struggling to find his footing, ended up being a coveted middle-of-the-order bat for a decade, right? And then you have guys who, up and down. But, I think we speak about development simply through the lens of, a young player ascending, and then eventually they get to their best, and it doesn't ever get better, and now they descend.
As long as you can.
Yeah. But, guys can get better. Now, Patrick Corbin probably isn't going to be Jacob DeGrom. But just because he hasn't had good years the last few years doesn't mean that a different set of eyes, a different voice, something on his end, he can't improve, right? And I think sometimes we fall trapped to that. Well, this is what he's been. Now, for the next 4 years, I don't know what he's going to be. But for 1 year, bouncing back, these guys can develop and get better even in their 30s.
For sure. And he's got, he's kind of freakishly athletic.
Yeah.
For a guy who doesn't stand out to you that way. If you walked by him in the hallway or something, you wouldn't necessarily see that or know that. But he's kind of freakishly athletic.
Yeah, well, you were telling me, I didn't know this about the basketball stuff.
Yeah, he was not. He just wasn't even a baseball player in high school. His first couple of years, didn't make the team, whatever. But he'd be in just street clothes in the gym, somebody hand him a basketball, not a running start or anything, just jump up and slam it. He's just kind of funny that way. And I don't know that he was really, we'll have to talk to him about this. I don't know how driven he was by that as a kid. And then all of a sudden, turns out he's got incredible talent and could make something out of it, and he did. Made a great career already. He's also a guy, the only pitcher in baseball since 2017 to make at least 31 starts a year. The idea, we throw that number around a lot, 30 starts. Well, you can imagine if you get 30 starts out of a guy, out of this guy or that guy. Well, I can't assume I'm going to get 30 starts out of whomever it is. But if I got 25 to 30, that would be awesome, right? That's almost what guys get paid for the potential of 25. He's made 31 starts a year since 2017. So he's going to show up every day, be ready to go and compete. I thought when he did not throw well in Chicago, I loved it. I loved the way he threw. I thought he competed. He stayed out there on a brutal day when he didn't have it, soaked up a couple of extra innings that he could have just as easily sloughed off to the bullpen. He's got all those really important intangibles. Think of the 3 tenets on the wall in the clubhouse, man. Compete with passion, dominate the fundamentals, be a good teammate. Listen to the podcast is going to be the 4th.
Bonus, yeah.
He's all those things, man. And so, yeah, I just think the way this thing sets up, we haven't even talked about the fact that Jack Leiter was every bit as good as Malley before that blister. If that holds up in any way whatsoever, my goodness, there's an embarrassment of riches.
Okay, one quick thing on Corbin.
Yeah.
I knew he was drafted by the Angels. I just totally forgot how good that draft class was for them in 2009. Grichuk, Trout, Tyler Skaggs, who obviously passed away, but was a good major league starter before then. Garrett Richards, who had a pretty nice run. Patrick Corbin, out of one draft class to pull in those guys. I mean, that's
pretty good.
And obviously Trout makes it unique and probably makes it one of the best draft classes in the last however many decades. But like, let's just say Trout was a good player. You just don't see many draft classes pull that many, handful 5. And there's one more, David Carpenter, I think, who did pitch in the big leagues later on in that draft class. But I mean, that was a pretty impressive group. I looking at it yesterday, but yeah, Jack Leiter that was a lot of fun too. And that's from a development standpoint, a little bit of a different trajectory, right? But he goes from in 2023, really struggling in Double-A, to being the Triple-A pitcher of the year last year, but really struggling in the big leagues. And so people wanted to close the door on him. But like really, last year was a great year for him.
For sure.
It just maybe didn't show at the big league level.
Right. Right. And I think when you use that word development, that's, again, we'll probably have to do a full episode on development, because that's one thing that's dogged this franchise. But all of a sudden now, you got Jack Leiter and Kumar Rocker pitching in the big leagues and looking as if they're making some pretty significant strides. Jacob Latz, who we just recalled the other day, developed to the system. Winston Santos, Emiliano Teodo, really high-level talent percolating.
Lights on development.
Yeah.
How about that? Yeah.
So yeah, that's the other thing, right?
And Cody Bradford, right? He's a success story. I know he's hurt, but that's definitely a success story.
Another one. So this is an exciting period for Rangers baseball, I feel like. I feel like we're right on the very beginning of this incredible possibility, the golden era. And better yet, we're seeing all the development coming up from below, which will support it, and I think, also kind of validate what we're saying. Could be a really, really fun stretch here.
I think it's fun when an organization is in a position to compete in the now, but you also don't look at things and think, well, they better win now because it's not going to be fun, right? Yeah. And that, it always changes, but from where we're sitting right now, the Rangers have a present and they've got a future that should be exciting, right?
Yeah.
And quickly, I want to get your thoughts. One of the biggest stories in baseball so far this year, the torpedo bats. I always think it's, anything like strategic that's different or an attempt at progress. Right? This game is so hard, and any little ability to try and increase your production by even just a percent, to me, is fascinating. But the torpedo bats have kind of stolen the show so far this year.
Yeah, I'm racking my brain to remember something that blew up that quickly. And
the fighting necklaces, remember those?
What?
Remember those necklaces that like guys would wear that they claimed had like some sort of chemical?
Oh, like electromagnetic.
Yeah.
That's a little bit. It's definitely a thing. Yeah. But these were crazy, man. Thanks to the Yankees explosion in a couple of games, and then, then we find that there was a former MIT physicist who now works for the Marlins who had worked with these Yankees hitters on this thing.
Aaron Lenhart, right? Is that his name? Yeah.
But the story to me, and what fascinates me still about this is that really, what is the origin of this torpedo bat? Because almost immediately, Tom Grieve, our good buddy Tom Grieve, Mr. Ranger, reaches out and he's like, hey, Ben, his son Ben Grieve, who played in the big leagues for quite a little while, Ben had one of these like 25 years ago. So what? And he said, yeah, Jack McKay lives in Mount Pleasant, right?
Mount Pleasant, Texas?
Yes. And he used to be a pecan farmer, ended up getting into bat design and development, worked for Louisville Slugger and D-Bat, and it was called a boat sail bat when he made it. But it was the same exact thing. Take some of the weight out of the end, cup it a little bit deeper, move that weight more toward the label, or in some cases, more toward the hands inside the label, if that's where guys hit it, and let's see if we can, displace that weight a little bit better. It moves quicker through the zone that way, etc. So he had designed this years and years ago, and in fact, it became a little bit of a controversy, especially when it started to trickle down into aluminum bats, composite bats, and things like that. But it was Jack McKay, like 30 years ago, a local guy here in the Metroplex, who really had this idea, So he sent Ben a bat. Ben was playing for the Tampa Bay Rays, maybe the Devil Rays even at the time. And he was taking BP with it for a couple of days. And some guys started to notice it and gave him a little bit of grief. And I guess he was embarrassed and he got rid of the bat. He just went and hid the bat away and got out a real bat, not one of these toys. And otherwise, who knows? Maybe we would have been doing this 25 years ago, yelling and screaming and going crazy over the torpedo bat. But it is a thing, right?
Yeah.
I think you do have to give it some credibility because some guys have used it and found some success with it. And whether that's mental or physical, whatever the reasoning, who cares, right? Whatever it takes to get an edge, right?
That's amazing. That whole Ben Grief thing and just the dynamic, like the social dynamic that exists. It's like, I'm making fun of you. Like we probably all, everyone's experienced that at some point, right? Like as a kid, like I probably wore a pair of shoes. Someone made fun of me. I was like, I can't wear these again. Like I don't.
And what if we found out that somebody invented the airplane actually a lot sooner, but people are like, what's that loser doing? Flying? Dumb?
The torpedo bats are great. We have pitching labs, right? Like I've heard people say, oh, that's unfair for hitters. Miss me with that. You got pitching labs that are giving these pitchers information at an advanced level that, never before, right? And now pitchers are able to manipulate things with a level of knowledge that, before it used to be, hey, I'm going to go throw my pitches in the offseason and try to figure it out. Now it's like, no, you put your index finger here, your middle finger there, you do this, let's throw a pitch, look at the data. They're the ones who start with the weapon, right?
Yeah.
And you got about a millisecond to react as a hitter. And so if they're changing their bat within the rules that were already established in the rule book, so be it.
Yeah.
And,
as long as it's, again, as long as it,
within, but it does. I don't remember the rule, but like something about the diameter and length, circumference and area, and it's like calculus. I don't get it.
Right. All of a sudden the numbers get kind of confusing, but they are there within the rules. Now it may be that baseball revisits it at some point and says, maybe we shouldn't do this. I don't know how you can.
But it makes you're a big golfer, right?
Yeah.
And you're not a PGA Tour golfer, but you've got a club fitting. Yeah, that's right.
Important word.
What's it? Champions Tour? Is that what they call it now?
Yeah.
But you've got a club fitting.
Yeah.
Same thing.
And it's by the way,
and you're an amateur golfer.
Correct.
Okay.
And it's it's a big, but it makes a huge difference if you have the right tool for whatever task you're trying. If somebody's installing carpet, you don't give them a pair of scissors and duct tape.
Yeah.
Like they're gonna have a hard time making that carpet installation look really good, right? You give them the right tools. Well, if you get the proper tool, you can optimize the tool, whatever the case for these hitters, and go for it, right? Lord knows hitters need to try something right now in this age because pitching has moved ahead very quickly. So,
one final thing that I found fascinating that ties into the torpedo bats, because the Yankees were in the spotlight. Austin Wells led off the season with a home run for the Yankees in the bottom of the first against the Brewers. The Yankees have been around for over 120 years. It's the first time they have ever had a home run to lead off the first inning on opening day. And it's also the first time that they had an extra base hit to lead off the first inning on opening day since Roger Maris led off opening day 1960. He wasn't even the home run king at that point with a double. How crazy is that? They've had some pretty good hitters.
Yeah, that's shocking.
I couldn't believe that.
That's shocking. But that's also there's the weirdness of baseball too, right?
That's right.
Who would have ever guessed that?
Yeah. All right, well, there you go. That's episode 1 of Still Talking Rangers. Thanks so much to Hoby Milner for joining us. Thanks to Dave's kids for loving Pokemon. And thanks to everyone making today's episode possible, including our friends at Whataburger.